YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Taylor Talks Tales. Today I have a book review for you guys on the horror novel Ghoster by Jason Arnopp. I'm going to read the back to you and we're going to get right on into it. Kate Collins has been ghosted. She is supposed to be moving in with her new boyfriend Scott, but all she finds after relocating to Brighton is an empty flat. Scott has vanished. His possessions have all disappeared, except for his mobile phone. Kate knows she shouldn't hack into Scott's phone. She shouldn't look at his Tinder, his texts, his social media, but she can't quite help herself. That's when the trouble starts. Strange, whispering phone calls from numbers she doesn't recognize, scratch marks on the door that she can't explain, and the growing sense that she's being watched. Alright, so this book was written by the same author who did The Last Days of Jack Sparks, which I read a couple years ago, and it was pretty good. And I went into this knowing nothing about it. I picked it up at the library, I knew it was horror, and that the premise sounded very interesting, and then that's pretty much all I knew about it. And it's a very fast-paced book. I read it almost in one sitting. I just sat down and, it's like 450-ish pages, but the writing is pretty thick, and it's told in sort of shorter chapters, so it's like very easy to get through. And I enjoyed it. Originally I was going to give it a 3.75 out of 5. I did round it up on Goodreads to a 4 out of 5 because it is a very enjoyable novel. It's, from the start, you're trying to figure out what's going on. Originally it's told sort of in a dual timeline as you sort of get to know Kate and her relationship with Scott and some other things going on because he just disappears and she shows up with all of her boxes, not hearing from him, unable to get a hold of him, and she's just really stressed. And you can definitely feel like, I felt like if I was in this situation, I'd be really stressed. So I was kind of feeling like, oh my gosh. And then it just goes from there. At some point she finds his phone, and that's it. She doesn't hear from him. He is posting on social media, and there's a lot that she's trying to figure out, like, is he alive? Is he dead? What happened? And overall, that part was really good. Like, it's definitely a page turner, and it captures your attention very well. And it also addressed some topics in here, too, that I wasn't expecting it to, such as internet and phone addiction. The main character actually struggles with that, so she ends up, like, at the beginning, she just has, like, a little Nokia because she got rid of her smartphone and was trying to stay off of social media and just focus on herself and her life and being a paramedic because she's a paramedic. And she ends up meeting Scott at this technology detox place after she had originally seen him on Tinder, but she never got a response from him. And then the story kind of goes from there. So the exploration of internet addiction was like very interesting because it's something that the main character really struggled with. And I've never read a book where somebody had internet addiction, so I thought that was really interesting to read from. And there's also a character who has a porn addiction, and that plays a little bit of a role in the story as well. So sort of exploring that and how technology impacts us was really interesting. The reason why I didn't rate this book higher than I did, like I took pretty much a full star off, was because of the ending gets a little out there for me. I can suspend disbelief to an extent, but I did feel like the ending just got a bit hokey, and there could have been so much more that the author could have done, because essentially this book its big theme is just that smartphones are bad and evil and blah blah blah, which I'm not exactly the most pro-tech person at times. Like, I think there's a lot of wonderful things technology can do, but I also recognize the downside of technology. It's one of the reasons why I've gotten rid of most of my social media and try to limit my time on social media. But I do think sort of it, especially at the end, does seem to get a little extreme and a little, like, over the top. So that's where it kind of lost me a little bit. It wasn't enough to ruin the book for me, but it did shave off a full star on that. And also, too, the main character gets an offer to move in with her boyfriend after only dating for 4 months, which I thought was a little like, whoa, okay, that seems a bit soon. Granted, everybody's relationship is different, but they didn't actually spend a whole lot of time together, and so and there's like a lot of warning signs and red flags that I was just like wanting the main character to recognize at the beginning, but she didn't. So that was a little frustrating. So that's ultimately why I took off the 0.25 on top of that. So I did give it 3.75. Just because of that. I had some just where I'm like, oh, what? But I felt like the main character, she was very interesting. She had a distinct story. I liked her career, and I liked her struggle of trying to figure out life without a smartphone. And there's a main character, or there's a friend in this who I feel like is a pretty good friend. So seeing a female friendship was really neat. And she also doesn't totally have a meltdown after her relationship with Scott kind of just poofs because he just disappears. And like the mystery element was really good, and I just did find it to be very, very interesting. So overall, I recommend reading it. Maybe you'll, be able to get over the ending a little bit more than me, but it is very entertaining, and I didn't mind it too much, which is why I did give it a 3.75 out of 5, and I rounded up to 4 on Goodreads to be nice, because it was a very entertaining, popcorny type book. So I recommend it if you're sort of in the mood for just, a fun little horror book. Anyway, thank you so much. Please let me know if you've read this book and what you thought of it, or if you're planning on reading it. And please like, comment, rate, subscribe, and happy reading, and I'll talk to you guys later.